Opioids puts your family at risk. Learn more at www.fda.gov/drug disposal.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Thursday. Mostly cloudy with showers and storms on and off through the day. High near 81. Overnight low of 67 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. Mostly cloudy skies for your Friday, with temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
On air, online, on demand, and on video. This is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Indeed it is. It's 8:07 here on the Watchdog Morning Show. 68 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport. 68 degrees. 66 actually here at my home studio. 66 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Give me a quick second here what I want to do and what you can do. If you're watching us on our Facebook Live video feed, I wave to you. Hello, how are you? Or on YouTube for that matter. If you would like and share our feed, that would be great. And I normally do this during the break, and I didn't, so I'm going to do it right now. Thursday, 09/03/20. I'm just sharing it to my timeline. 09/03/20. Hour two. And it is 8 a.m. hour. Okay, and share it, and it's being shared. All right, so you can do that too if you want to share the wealth, share the joy of the Watchdog Morning Show. Watch us on Facebook Live video, whether it's me or Bill or the Afternoon Drive or the Legislative Watchdogs or what have you. Watch us on Facebook Live video or watch us on our YouTube channel. Either one is fine. And again, if you're on YouTube, be sure to like us and to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and that way you're alerted when things actually come on. So, okay, I had to do that. I didn't get that out of the way first. Okay. All right, coming up today here on the Watchdog Morning Show, reports say the city of Wheeling is preparing to remove multiple homeless camps on the creek bank. We talked about that a bit last hour. I had some of my thoughts on it. I have ambivalent thoughts. I appreciate the need to deal with the serious problem these camps cause, but I also look at the homeless as a very fragile population, and what do we do when we move them away from their camps? You know, how, I don't know. Anyways, we've been talking about that. We'll probably talk about that some more. Coming up in this hour of the show, WVEA President Dale Lee is going to join me to talk about getting ready for school. Yesterday, the AFT West Virginia and Democratic gubernatorial candidate Ben Salango got together with a press conference saying that across the Mountain State, most schools are not adequately prepared to protect students and staff, not enough PPE and so on as the school year gets close. We'll talk about that a bit with Dale Lee coming up. Also, a new national survey gives us a sense of the impact of school changes on parents. How many have had to adapt? How have they had to adapt in order to have their kids at home? Some have literally had to quit their jobs. We'll talk about all of that. Morgantown bars were basically reopened a day after the governor shut them down, and a day after the governor opened them, and then he shut them down again. The governor defends his policy reversal on football in orange counties. How many ads do we see during televised football games? And do political ads really change anyone's mind? Plus, The Rock has coronavirus, Target selling a new line of clothing, and end of summer tantrums are back. All of this coming up here on the Watchdog Morning Show. If you want to reflect on any of these stories or things you think I should be talking about but I'm not, it's real simple, real easy. Use the text line 304-214-1600. Looking for sporadic rain showers, possible storms during the day today. Temperature up to around 80, call it 82 for a high. Right now, 68 at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport and 66 here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling, 68 degrees at the Robinson Auto Group Studios downtown Wheeling in the heart of the Ohio Valley. Couple more school systems and individual schools, Biffy, around the state are not going to be having football. At Lincoln High School in Harrison County, football practices and games have been stopped after one individual in attendance at football activities over the weekend tested positive for COVID-19. So the Harrison County School Board announced yesterday the Cougar football program will pause all team activities for 14 days. They were originally supposed to host Fairmont Senior on Friday and scheduled to visit Grafton the following Friday. Now both of those games are off the agenda. And again, Biffy, one of the things we've talked about the last couple of weeks is even for schools that are not impacted themselves by COVID, when their potential opponents are having to shut down, it causes problems. So Fairmont Senior and Grafton are going to have to somehow realign what they're going to do because the team they were going to play, Lincoln, is not going to be there. So that's off the agenda for right now. And one school, not the whole district, but in Mason County, one school will be closed until September 17th. 2 employees in Mason County tested positive for the coronavirus, so they're going to clean the building over the next couple of days, and then they'll try to start classes on September 17th, not on September the 8th, and I would assume that probably puts this is a elementary school, I think, so I don't think it would impact football there, so that's the case. Then, Biffy, we remember earlier in the week, or was it Friday, whatever it was, the governor took note of the fact that 3 counties, Logan, Fayette, Kanawha, all were in the orange on the governor's color-coded map, and orange counties can't play football by the governor's own requirements and definitions. But there was that let them play rally where the parents were, our kids want to play, let them play. And the governor, after saying, I will not give in to pressure, I do not give in to pressure, gave in to pressure, and came up with his plan to allow in those 3 school districts the athletes who play football to be tested was a one-time deal, tested for coronavirus, and if everybody tests clean, they could play football. And you remember that the school districts, again, Logan, Fayette, and Kanawha, the district said, yeah, no, thank you, Governor, but we're just not going to do that. Well, that didn't satisfy the governor. So yesterday, the governor doubled down. It was the right thing to do. We missed a real opportunity here, he said. And talking about those 3 counties who said no to his proposal, them saying no, that was probably not a good move. One of the complaints that people had was, and if you followed any of this on contemporaneously on Friday, I guess it was, whatever it was, the word came out from the governor, I'm going to allow some of these schools to do this if they take these tests, And the schools didn't know anything about it. They didn't know anything about it. The schools themselves said, well, this is all brand new to us, but we're not going to take advantage of it. And a lot of people criticize the governor for not communicating well to the individual schools before he made up his plan. And it strikes me that that's absolutely the case. That it's not, that's not right. So the governor said yesterday, now that's not true. This plan was put together with 1,000 phone calls and 1,000 meetings. Except the school districts themselves say, no, he didn't talk to us. And then he goes, well, it was 1,000. So here's the question. Who were the phone calls to? Well, this was put together with 1,000 phone calls and 1,000 meetings. But then he said, now from the standpoint of should I have talked to the superintendents, I guess I should have done that. I would love to have talked to them. I would have loved to. And if I could go back, well, sure, I'd go back. But I had to act. And what we came up with was a whole lot better than not doing anything at all. So I love this. He says, well, I made 1,000 phone calls and 1,000 communications. Well, did you talk to the people that were involved? Actually, no, I didn't talk to any of them. I did not talk to any of them. We were trying to race out and be able to get these games in, said the governor, even though they violate his own color-coded stipulations.
And I don't think that...
Within a couple of hours, each of the three counties said no.
Well, and Howard, I don't think the governor thought it through all the way either, because if one kid would have tested positive, not only do you miss that week's game, but possibly the next 2 weeks, because if you got a quarantine for 14 days, you're missing 3 games because of one test.
Well, that's exactly right. And that's what several of the coaches in these 3 districts earlier this week said. They said, look, we're not going to take these tests. We're not going to risk the possibility of being stuck out for a couple of weeks as opposed to just passing by this week. And the other thing was that by the time the governor came around to talk about this, some of the districts had already done some rescheduling and so on and so forth. Biffy, I think we could put a period. You had a little period. You had a comma in your sentence. I think we could have replaced the comma with a period. The governor just didn't think it through. Period.
And just
that's what the governor does all the time.
Well, and again, and especially, think about that. Think about missing potentially 3 games. And if you're a team that doesn't have a full 10, say you have maybe 8 or 7 for that matter, you're talking almost half your season gone.
Exactly. So it's ridiculous. Now, playing football has been kind of the big focus here the last week or so on our show and elsewhere, getting these color-coded maps up and people, who's going to play, who's not going to play, and so on and so forth. And I have some more on that coming up in a bit. But really the bigger question is, are the schools ready to reopen, period? Forget football. Are the schools ready to reopen, period, across the state? I'm guessing it varies probably from county to county, but there was a lot of talk about this down in Charleston yesterday, and I invited Dale Lee from the WVEA to join us today to just share his thoughts with us. Dale, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Howard. How are you?
So, I assume you would agree with me that to some extent this is a county-by-county thing, but taken as a general comment, are we ready to start school again?
Well, you heard Superintendent Burch say they've checked, double-checked, and triple-checked. And all of our schools have everything they need. Just 20 minutes after that, I got a text from a school in the Eastern Panhandle. And when I asked them if they had the stuff they needed, they had 1 mask, 1 gallon of hand sanitizer, and 2 magic eraser wipes. Now,
for the school?
2. You can't just have 1.
For the whole school?
No, for their room, for each individual room.
Oh, for the room, okay.
Now,
okay.
Apparently, they have a different idea of what we are completely, fully ready than I do. It's just this morning I got another email from a person in another county, teacher in another county, that said, We have all this stuff ordered that's supposed to be put in, the hand sanitizers, the drink water things and everything else, but they haven't been installed yet. Again, it's a different interpretation of being ready than what I have. Plus the fact, what happens when that 1 gallon of hand sanitizer is done? Do you have an adequate supply to replace it? What happens when your 2 magic erasers are gone? Do you have an adequate supply to replace it? What about the wipes for the rooms? What about the cleaning supplies? What about the extra soap for the bathrooms, extra paper towels, things like that? Those are the things that I'm looking at to say, are the schools ready? And in my opinion, there's many that are not.
And again, there may be some that are, but clearly what you're hearing are from those that are not. So there are some that are not, which would certainly raise the question about, can we really safely return to the classroom in, well, I get what? We're less than a week away, right?
Yeah. I mean, today's Wednesday, you're looking at next Thursday, so you're 6 days out. I mean, next Tuesday, you're 6 days out.
Next Tuesday, yeah, exactly. Have you talked to the Superintendent Birch about this at all? Either not necessarily after the fact, I mean, not necessarily yesterday if you got these texts, but I mean, have you had personal conversation with him? What is he saying to you if you have?
Yeah, I've talked to him. I tried 3 times yesterday to talk to him. I talked to the deputy superintendent several times. The superintendents and principals are telling them something different than the teachers are actually telling me, which is part of the problem. I mean, you have to have communication from everyone, not just a few. You want to see if schools are ready? I'll tell you who you should contact in the school, the custodian. They know what supplies they have.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. That's if you want to know if the supplies are adequate, talk to the people who are in charge of supplies, which to a large extent would be the custodians. The governor yesterday said that this is all, and I think I'm quoting here, political garbage. It's just political garbage. This is his go-to line, but it's all politics is being played with this. Everything is just fine.
Well, we haven't tried to make it political at all. We're not the ones who have made it political. We have tried to work to ensure that our students and our educators can return safely. And it's not political. This is about the safety. When you have outbreaks like we're seeing in Mingo County, like you're seeing in Mason County, like you're going to see in other counties when we start back, it's not political. It's about health. It's about safety. It's about life. As you can tell, Howard, I'm a little more agitated today than I have been in a long time.
Well, we're getting closer to starting, and what fascinates me, Dale, is that these should be verifiable things. I don't know how it works. Somewhere, somehow, there ought to be a list of supplies that everybody has, and you ought to be able to look and see what's there. And the fact that we're hearing from the school superintendent that things are fine, but you are hearing from individuals in school systems who are going, hey, here's what we've got. Why don't we have that? I mean, that ought to be something easily documentable, I would think.
Well, it's a lack of communication. I can tell you, it's you're not listening to the people that it affects directly, the educators in the school buildings, and when you only listen to superintendents or principals, they paint a much different picture than the educators paint.
I never understand why you don't talk to the people who are directly involved. You mentioned custodians for supplies or teachers in the classroom for what they need and whether they have what they actually need to feel safe. When you talk to members, Dale, are they concerned? Are they concerned for their own safety coming next Tuesday?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, but it runs the gambit. I mean, there are some counties where they have worked hard to come up with a plan, get the supplies in, get the schools prepared, get the rooms prepared, have the social distancing. I can tell you, like Tyler County teachers are confident that they can go in safely. And good for them. I mean, they've done it the right way. But other counties are not there.
And the scary thing is we are seeing some real numbers go up in certain counties. Mon County is an example. I'm not talking about in schools per se, but in individual counties, we're watching numbers go up. Kanawha County also, I haven't looked at today's, but they were, I think, one case away from going from orange to red on the governor's color-coded map just a couple of days ago. And so these numbers are not getting better in many counties. Some counties they are, but not in many counties, not getting better. They're getting worse.
And you open up the schools, they're going to get worse. There's no way you can't. I mean, you're seeing that all across the country, everywhere they're opening schools, most everywhere they're opening schools, even colleges. Within 2 weeks, they're going remote.
Well, even here in West Virginia, look at the problems WVU is already having. Yeah, look at the problems WVU is having already.
Sure. There are those who want to say take the students out of the equation for Mon County. Well, you can't do that. Those kids are
no,
in
that's
town.
ridiculous.
I mean, WVU is more spread out throughout the community than most any other college. It's not an isolated college, and those kids are part of the community. They eat, they go out, they shop, they do all the things in the community. That's the spread.
Yeah, I'm glad you actually brought that up. I have a social media post, and I hate to always quote social media posts, but I have one I saw yesterday from someone about WVU. Why are WVU COVID cases allowed to determine whether Mon County school students have in-person learning or not? If WVU is doing their job, shouldn't those numbers be excluded from the calculation that determines the color, just like nursing home residents and prison inmates are? Well, the difference is, and even nursing home residents and prison inmates, I think, it's not as simple as we make it out to be. But theoretically, those two populations are controlled and isolated and not out in the community in general. Students at WVU are they're not locked up in a dorm room. They're not locked up in a classroom. They're out part of the community. And I don't know any community, and I was a student there, I don't know any community that is as integrated between the town and gown as WVU is. So why the thought that you wouldn't include them in the determination of whether the schools go back to session or not is ridiculous. I'm glad you brought that up because it's just and this person finishes with, and you can respond to this, Dale. I have a son who hates school but is begging to go back to school. Well, I suspect a lot of students and parents are indeed begging to get school started again, and probably a lot of teachers want school to get started again as well. I don't know anybody who doesn't want to get school started. It's just, do we do it safely?
Absolutely, and that's the whole crux of this, is that you have to do it safely. No one wants to be in the classroom more than the teachers do, more than the bus drivers do, more than the cooks do, more than the aides do, the secretaries. Everyone wants to be with these kids. I mean, that's why we choose this profession, so we can make a difference in their lives. But you have to make a difference in their lives when it's safe. And the way you do that is to follow all the guidelines, not pick and choose. I mean, CDC guidelines say you have to be 6 feet apart distance. And then suddenly the World Health Organization says, well, no, you can actually do it at 3.2 feet or 1 meter as long as everybody's wearing masks. And then when they start looking at the classrooms, well, we can't get them 3 feet apart either, and they really don't need to wear masks. Well, wait a minute. Who's making these decisions? The CDC, the medical experts, said 6 feet apart. Not the World Health Organization. Our people said 6 feet apart with masks. It blows my mind that we're still doing everything virtually. We still have state board meetings virtually. We still have press conferences virtually. But yet we're ready to throw 25 students in with a teacher in a classroom and have them 1 or 2 feet apart.
it almost is too easy a target, but I have to bring it up as I do all the time. The governor still says that press reporters cannot be in the room with him during his press conferences, supposedly because of COVID. So everybody has to be virtual on that, Zoom their questions in, and then turn the mic off when they've asked their questions. So the governor is isolated there. At the same time, we're sending kids back into the classroom. I mean, the irony, at least, the hypocrisy, I might add the stupidity, is so evident there. If we can send kids back into a classroom, for God's sake, Governor, let the reporters come in and sit in separate chairs and ask you questions. I know that's not the issue for you per se, Dale, but that's what we're dealing with here right now, and the way the governor tends to operate. The other thing the governor tends to operate on, Dale, go ahead.
It's the same thing with school board meetings. I mean, I've attended a couple school board meetings where they allow 15 to 18 people in, everybody's 6 feet apart, and everybody has to wear a mask. Well, and in a large room, that's fine. But these same boards are expecting a middle school class of 28. How are you doing that? I'm like you. Where's the hypocrisy in all of that? I mean, how does that make sense?
Well, it doesn't. Again, it's almost too easy to make that comparison because it is so literally foolish on the face of it that it points out the hypocrisy right away. The other thing I get concerned about, Dale, is let's assume for a moment that we are able to come up with the adequate social distancing in schools and that we at least have a policy on masks and so on. And by adequate social distancing, I mean let's assume that the seat assignments are such that they're separated 6 feet and so on. Let's assume that for a moment. What worries me is that especially younger kids are not going to follow that to begin with. And we also have to deal in the real world. We're not tying kids into a seat. I mean, I know what's going to happen with particularly younger kids. First time they've seen their teachers and their friends in many, many, many months, they're going to want to run up and hug them and, and get close to them. And that's just realistic. I mean, that's just a realistic human response to what's going to happen here.
True. I mean, and we do the same thing. As adults, we do the same thing. When you see a friend that you haven't seen for a long time, what's the first thing you do? Instinctively, you reach your hand out to shake their hand or give them a hug. Kids are going to do the same things. You know, if I came to Wheeling tomorrow and came to your studio, the first thing I would do, without even thinking, is reach my hand out to shake your hand.
Sure. Yeah. And these kids are going, again, we can set up all the rules we want, and we should, and we can set up all the social guidelines, social distancing we want, we can assign them seats and so on, but like I said, you're not going to be able to tie them down. I'm talking about younger kids, they're older kids, high school, for example, when it comes class change time, the hallways are going to get packed, because that's what happens in hallways at high school.
Sure they are, and that's why we said, you should start remote. Those who want to start, in my opinion, should do so on some type of hybrid model, blended model, where you have reduced numbers and you don't have the congestion that having everybody back 5 days would do. Now, if these smaller counties, if a county like Tyler is ready for that, then we're supporting. But for most of our schools, that's not possible.
What happens next?
Well, that's a great question. We'll have to see what the color-coded map says on Saturday night, see where we go, and see what changes we make in it Sunday. Because it's... we'll see what adjustments are going to be made. Then
we have
most of the schools will start back Tuesday, and I'm afraid that within 2 to 3 weeks we're going to see numbers jump.
That's what I'm fearful of, and all these people who want, again, understandably, want to get back into the classroom, want their kids to get out of their hair, quite frankly, in some cases, but they want kids to get back to school and so on. All of these folks are going to discover that by having pushed this too far too fast, we're going to end up retrenching worse than we are today. We're going to end up back in some kind of a more of an isolation situation again. I'm afraid these numbers are going to go up. It didn't take a genius, for example, it's not schools, but it didn't take a genius to say when the governor decided to reopen the bars in Morgantown, he was going to have to close them again. I didn't think it would be 24 hours later, but there are just certain things that we know are going to happen. Human nature predicts it's going to happen, and we're going to be sorry, I think, in the end, if we push this school opening too far too fast.
We still have an opportunity to pivot, to make adjustments. Let's see if we do.
We have, 4 counties are orange, I think. Is it 4? Is that correct now? I lose track of where the map is. Yeah, and I think Monroe County, last I saw, was red. I don't know if it still is or not. Yeah. So there are several counties in the orange, one in the red. Kanawha County was close to going into the red. I don't know if it has yet or not, but that's a possibility. The problem is that the governor, and we saw it with the football story last week, or Monday, I guess it was. The problem is the governor isn't willing to adhere even to the guidelines he himself set up. I mean, I'm fearful that as the map comes out and there are going to be some school districts that are in the orange where they shouldn't be back in classroom, that the governor will decide that, well, it's okay, go do it anyway. That's one of the things that concerns me.
Well, I have concerns about a lot of stuff. I have concerns what happens. Let's take Logan County in the orange. So, for example, they're orange and can't start. Lincoln County turns orange Wednesday, and yet they still have school. Tell me how that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, of course, yeah, exactly. And again, that's what, so we have theoretically this color-coded map and the stipulations about what that means, but we don't really seem to be following it in any organized way. Also, I always thought there was going to be the Saturday map that prevails, but I think this past week we've had new maps come out and some changes have occurred just because of that. I don't know, Dale. The whole thing concerns me. I understand where people are coming from, parents and students and teachers and administrators, in wanting to get back into the classroom, but I'm fearful that we're pushing this way too far, too fast. And I get criticism when I say that, but I think we'll discover in a few weeks that we wish we had been more circumspect in how we handled it.
I get criticism too. I get thrown out under the bus at times. I have suits at the cleaners with tire tracks on them. So we'll see. But I'm never going to stop speaking out for our educators and our kids. That's what I was elected to do, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. Whether people agree, whether people like it or not, that's we have to ensure the safety of our people.
Dale, I appreciate your time this morning, as I do all the time. Thanks a lot. Hopefully things will maybe, as you say, maybe we have time to pivot before next Tuesday. We'll find out. And I don't know when I'll be calling you again, but we'll probably be talking again before too much longer. Thanks for being here today.
Well, I would think maybe in a week or two we can call and see how things going.
Absolutely. Thanks for calling. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye. Dale Lee, the president of the WVEA, with us this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. The WVEA is concerned. You heard Dale's concerns there. Yesterday, the other teachers union, the AFT in West Virginia, along with Democratic gubernatorial candidate Ben Salango, got together and talked about their concerns, very much the same concerns that Dale had. The WVEA was not directly involved in that particular press conference where Salango and the AFT was, but and the governor's response always been, why, it's just politics. I will not get caught up in political nonsense. That's his response to everything. even though there's pretty legitimate concerns that people are raising here. Now, I want to be clear, some counties may well be adequately prepared. I think Ohio County may be ready to do what they need to do. Ohio County is going to work on the not every other day, 2 times a week in class, 2 times a week remote learning, a day for cleaning. I mean, so not every county is in this problem. But statewide, again, as of now, I believe it's 4, I think I'm right, 4 counties, Monongalia, Kanawha, Logan, Fayette, and now Mingo counties are in the orange category, which technically means you have to go to remote learning. And then Monroe County is in the red. I got to double check Kanawha County today because Kanawha County was literally one positive case from knocking into the red category. I hear all the problems. I understand why you don't want it. I'm going to talk about a survey in a minute here of parents who are very frustrated with having to deal with their kids at home. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I get all of that, but it seems to me that the smart thing to do all the way around would be to do remote learning for a while, not bring the teachers or the students back into the classroom, period. Do the remote learning. Let the teachers focus on remote learning instead of splitting their attention and their time between some in-seat learning, some remote learning, and kind of get that system working well, get your kids acclimated to that concept, and then hopefully as time goes by and the cases go down, we can get back to we'll never get back to normal, not this year, but something closer to normal. But right now, I'm afraid what's going to happen is it's going to get worse. I'm afraid it's just going to get worse. Let's do a news update. Our friends from the Big 7 are here. WTRF's got headlines for us. Tony Caridi's got the Morning Mountaineer report. That's very important to us here as we check in with that. And then I got a couple odds and ends I want to get to, again, still on the teacher and student and parent front in West Virginia. Coming up on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The WTRF Channel 7.
Yo. Okay, you got the map there? We can talk about that when we come back then. Okay. Well, probably a new one hasn't come out yet. I don't know what the time they come out, but yesterday's probably is the current one, I would think. We'll talk about that when we get back.
points, giving you prices that are lower than the everyday level.
To help add one more jersey to a team's rotation, they can dress a player with the number 0. That's just 1-0, not 00. West Virginia has never, ever had a player wear 0 until this year. It will be receiver Bryce Ford Wheaton. He's chosen to wear it. On the other end of that spectrum, just one Mountaineer ever has worn a 3-digit number. That was place kicker Chuck Kinder. He wore number 100 in 1963. It was a one-time exception to help celebrate the state of West Virginia's 100th birthday. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
You there, Biffy? No, it was me. Teddy's here, and I heard him moving around in his room. I went to check the camera that monitors his bedroom, and when I did that, it disconnected. I guess I can only have one device working at a time, so it disconnected me. I had to reconnect. That was my fault. Tonight, coach's show, 7 o'clock. Do you know? 6 to 8, okay. All right. Okay. Okay. I want to talk about that. Ryan Weld wants to let grandparents come in, too. I've got that story here, too. All right, we'll start with the map and then talk about, we've got a lot to talk about here. That's a great question. Well, I think if I remember correctly, the guidelines were parent or guardian. I think that's the way it was phrased that when I first saw it. But again, who knows? Nobody's paying attention to the guidelines anyway. Yeah, exactly.
Or 232-8430 and add them on Facebook.
West Virginia 211 makes a difference in the lives of thousands of West Virginians every year. Do you need help paying utility bills, finding housing, buying food, accessing job training, navigating veteran services, or dealing with an emergency or crisis? Call West Virginia 211 today to speak with one of our specialists. We'll make sure that you've got a plan and put you in touch with the right resources. Dial 211. West Virginia 211 is a program of the United Ways of West Virginia.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your Thursday. Mostly cloudy with showers and storms on and off through the day. High near 81. Overnight low of 67 degrees, mostly cloudy skies. Mostly cloudy skies for your Friday, with temperatures in the mid to upper 70s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The perfect cure for your quarantine blues. The Watchdog on Facebook Live. Watch The Watchdog weekdays on Facebook Live, beginning with the morning show with Howard Monroe at 7 a.m. Local talk radio, Watchdog style. Give us a call and tell us what you're thinking. Locally, 304-214-1600. Out of the area, toll free, 866-514-1600 or 304-232-8255.
Live and local for the Ohio Valley, the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
We continue up until 10 o'clock this morning, kicking off at 10 o'clock, statewide talk line. My good friend, Mr. Kercheval, Hoppy, will be in, and among his guests will be WVU president, the guy with the bow tie, E. Gordon Gee, talking about the problems with students crowding into bars, not wearing masks, not social distancing. I love E. Gordon Gee. I think he's a delightful guy. I think he's a great president. I think he's really engaged with the community and so on. But, you know, he put out a letter to the students yesterday saying, Biffy, I'm very disappointed in you. And I'm thinking, how many students care? You know, I mean, seriously, I think he's a great, great, wonderful man. But how many students care that he sent out a letter saying, I'm very disappointed in you? I just don't know that that's a big deal. But we'll find out what E. Gordon Gee thinks about that today, coming up on Statewide Talk Line. Also today, Bill Powell, the federal attorney for the Northern District of West Virginia, will be talking about drug problems in the Mountain State and the rise in overdoses. That's coming up today on Statewide Talk Line from 10 until noon. Of course, at noon, it's live to the news desk of WTRF TV for Ohio Valley headlines. And then Bill DeFabio's variety show from noon until 2. And at 2 o'clock this afternoon, and I'm bummed out here. My buddy Pierre is going to join Donnie, but I can't get him to call me or even call me at home anymore. Coming up today on the afternoon drive from 2 to 5 o'clock, it's the Donnie Gilbert radio show on location at Quaker Steak and Lube at the Highlands. And the co-host is going to be powerful Pierre, Bob Slider. We're supposed to go to lunch or something. I haven't heard from him forever. But, we can go on with Donnie, I guess. So, co-host Powerful Pierre, Bob Slider, co-hosting with Donnie today, coming up on the afternoon drive, live from Quaker Steak and Lube. Also, Rick Jones, the Assistant Superintendent of Ohio County Schools, will be on hand, and Marshall County Superintendent Shelby Haynes will be on, talking about the school coming up. Let's see, Ed Youngkins, who's in his 49th year at Wheeling University, is going to be dropping by with Donnie. Some music with Stevie Bowles, singing some songs. And, this is always fun, Biffy. We've had him on many times. George Sideropoulos is going to be on with the afternoon drive, and Donnie today. He, of course, wrote that book, Murder Never Dies, about the gangster era here in the Upper Ohio Valley. And he's just a great guest, good book, enjoyable conversation. And I'll tell you what, putting Sideropoulos and the powerful Pierre together, that'll make for good conversation. We're going to be talking about Charlie Manson in particular today with George Sideropoulos. So a busy day on the afternoon drive from 2 until 5, live from Quaker Steak and Lube, the Donnie Gilbert radio show with powerful Pierre as the guest host. So that's coming up today. And then tonight on AM 1600, it is the Coaches Show with Tony Caridi and Neil Brown, beginning at 6 o'clock, right, Biffy?
Yep, 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock tonight.
6 to 8 o'clock on AM 1600 WKKX and FM 98.1. On AM 1370 and FM 97.7, it is the Tony Caridi Sportsline Show. Of course, Tony can't be both places, so Tony won't be on Sportsline tonight. So WVU Football Coaches Show, 6 o'clock on 1600. Sportsline, 6 o'clock on AM 1370. So a lot of stuff going on tomorrow. On the afternoon drive, it is, of course, the Friday afternoon walkthrough, as it will be all throughout the football season. And then we have a couple of games coming up this weekend, Biffy, which I guess we should mention as well.
Yes, on Friday night, we are supposed to have John Marshall at Weirton, and that game is on both stations. And then Saturday afternoon at 1 o'clock, and Please note the station for this. It'll be Polka and Wheeling Central, but it'll be on AM 1370 WVRY and 97.7 FM, because at that same time from 1 o'clock until 3, we will have the West Virginia University football season preview show on 1600.
Of course, the new voice of the Mountaineers in the Upper Ohio Valley is AM 1600 WKKX and frequently WVOY as well, but we can split the stations when we need to, and we're going to have to do that this weekend. So you will get the WVU football preview show Saturday at 1 on AM 1600 and FM 98.1, and then you'll get the Polka Central game on AM 1370 and FM 97.7. Feel free to use your TuneIn app if you need to pick that up, although it's an afternoon game, so you should be able to pick us up anyways. But nonetheless, and we originally scheduled, if any of you had heard us earlier talking about plans to carry the Blair game on Saturday, we had to move that around. We had to cancel that because of the Polka change that occurred this past week. Polka was supposed to be in town tonight, or tomorrow night, right? And then had to move things around.
Yeah, what happened, again, Polka and Wheeling Central was originally supposed to be scheduled for tomorrow night, but Polka is one of, I think, 2 or 3 counties they have bus training that they are doing, and this is going on around the state. And Polka 2 days were, I guess, today and tomorrow, so they couldn't send a bus to send the kids up here to play Friday night. So they moved the game to Saturday at 1, which Shadyside and Belair was scheduled for 12:30. So it would have worked out, would have had one on each. But we come to find out that West Virginia's football season preview show was Saturday at 1 as well. So we had to cover that, which bumped Shadyside and Belair, which means Polka and Wheeling Central is now on 1370.
All right. So you know where to find things, and you'll find that one of our 2 stations, we got as much as we can for you. We will not have the Bel Air game, unfortunately, because of the rescheduling there. And, of course, in addition to football, we are in the midst of the NBA playoffs. They are here, and our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook have that slam dunk offer I've talked about you don't want to miss. Right now, new users to FanDuel can get plus 2,000 odds on any team making the NBA Finals. Pick any team. Then bet $10 for your chance to win $200 if they make it. And yes, you can bet on the favorites, the Bucks and the Lakers. You can go for long shots if you choose to. The ball is in your court. So take your best bet and place your best bet on FanDuel. If you pick correctly for the teams going into the finals, FanDuel will get your payout to you in as little as 24 hours, because that's one of the hallmarks of the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It is easy to use. They have a variety of deposit options. It's a brand name you can trust. They have all different kinds of bets. We talked about some of them last hour. All different kinds of promotions available, some for existing users, some for new users, and so on. So download the FanDuel Sportsbook app to get started. Sign up with my name, Monroe, in the promo code box, MONROE, FanDuel Sportsbook, promo code Monroe, and then place your bets. Now, you must be 21 or older. You must physically be present in West Virginia. This particular offer is for new users only. There are ones for existing users too, but that's one for new users only. You must wager on designated boost markets. The maximum bonus is $200. See the full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you have a gambling problem, visit www.1800gambler.net or call 1-800-GAMBLER. FanDuel Sportsbook. More ways to win. All right, you're a winner here because you're with me and Brother Biff on the Watchdog Morning Show for a Thursday. We're going to take a look at that color-coded map, see who's orange, who's red, who's yellow, who's green, what's going on, all of that coming up in the next hour of the show, plus Morgantown bars we'll talk about, and a great deal more. It's straight ahead, but first the ABC News gets us started.
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
ABC News.
All right, back in a minute, Biffy. We'll do the map when we come back. Thanks. Here's my little buddy.
Here we see a live shot from our drone ship.
How are you? Oh, you stretching? You still tired, pal?